Welcome, everyone. Thank you to the Executive Board for being here. Today, we're diving into a highly exclusive and critical briefing on the Metatropolis Initiative. Look, we're stepping way beyond theoretical physics now. We are actively entering the realm of applied multiversal architecture. My goal in this explainer is to give you a really clear, authoritative, and visionary look at exactly where we stand today, taking all that complex dimensional engineering and translating it into actionable business intelligence. Because, well, this right here is our awe-inspiring end goal, Metatropolis, a fully stabilized, multiversal floating city. It's absolutely breathtaking, isn't it? But a vision of this sheer magnitude, it needs a lot more than just ambition. It takes rigorous engineering, incredibly calculated risk management, and flawless execution. So this explainer is designed to bridge the gap between this monumental vision and the actual, actionable reality of our day-to-day operations. Here is our strict flight path for today's strategic overview. First, we'll cover the Metatropolis vision, then dive into the R&D data and market risks. After that, we'll hit Sector L5 mitigation strategies, outline our strategic growth opportunities, and finally, wrap up with our 3-year innovation roadmap. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the Metatropolis vision and its foundational mechanics. So the absolutely crucial thing to understand right off the bat is this core metric, information density, or ID for short. Basically, ID quantifies the concentration of manifestable reality across different universes and versions. You can think of it like the gravitational glue of the multiverse. And it's exactly this metric that our R&D teams are exploiting to physically anchor our floating city across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Simply put, without high information density, there is no Metatropolis. Moving on to Section 2, let's look at the R&D data and market risks to establish our current state of affairs. Okay, let's dive into this. Looking at our R&D analytics, these density of manifestation scatterplots and information density heat maps reveal a pretty clear challenge. We're tracking some critical variances in what we call observational delta, or OD, across dimension, version, and universe indices. If you look closely, notice how the heat signatures fluctuate significantly in certain grids? That right there represents active instability in the very fabric of those specific dimensional coordinates. And here's the stark, punchy takeaway from all that data. Volatility and observational delta directly threatens our structural integrity. Without active, aggressive stabilization, this fluctuating information density presents a severe systemic risk to the entire physical structure of Metatropolis. I mean, we literally cannot build on shifting dimensional sands. So let's detail exactly what those market and dimensional risks look like for you, the board. We're facing fluctuating information density, which, as we just saw, leads to observational delta drift across different versions of reality. If we leave that unchecked, that drift inevitably causes a total multiversal infrastructure collapse. And ultimately, for our stakeholders, that means the catastrophic loss of capital investment in any unstable nodes. Make no mistake, these are very real, very pressing threats to our expansion strategy. But we have a solution. Let's pivot to Section 3, Sector L5 mitigation strategies and how we're protecting our investments. When you weigh that dimensional risk directly against our Metatropolis solution, the path forward is actually crystal clear. That dimensional volatility threatening our structural integrity, it is completely neutralized by our heavily engineered Sector L5 power dampeners. This is the exact point where our R&D transitions into active defense, neutralizing the volatility way before it can ever reach the wider city infrastructure. And this brilliantly illustrates how it works. The Sector L5 infrastructure physically regulates power and data flow. Just look at those massive active power dampening tubes channeling all those multiversal energies, while our real-time data flow analysis interfaces monitor the dimensional load. This machinery essentially acts like a giant shock absorber for reality itself. It regulates the power to keep the city's anchor perfectly, unshakably stable. Now that stabilization is proven, let's talk scale. Section 4, Strategic Growth Opportunities and our Multiversal Expansion. The sheer, unprecedented scope of our potential is laid out right here in this cosmic multiversal map. This is our expansion grid. Every single interconnected planetary node you see, pulsing with its own unique energy signature, represents a brand new, totally viable market for the Metatropolis footprint. The stabilization provided by Sector L5 is a real game changer. It allows us to safely cast our net across this entire cosmic web. To put some numbers to that expansion, our projected resource yield by universe node categorizes these targets into high, medium, and low information density. By mapping our growth directly to those high-density areas we pinpointed in our initial heat maps, we can absolutely maximize our return on investment. We're going to target the most stable, resource-rich universes first, securing immense capital to fuel our continued outward expansion. So, how do we execute this? That brings us to Section 5, our 3-year innovation roadmap, detailing the next 36 months. Our 3-year plan lays out a highly actionable path forward. Year 1 is dedicated entirely to core stabilization, rolling out those Sector L5 dampeners across all primary anchor points to ensure absolute safety. Year 2 triggers our multiversal expansion, utilizing that cosmic grid to tap into the high-yield market nodes we just talked about. And finally, Year 3 culminates in the full Metropolis launch. It's a clear, concrete, 3-phase escalation from hardware deployment right to the ultimate manifestation of the city. Once Year 3 is complete, this central spire activation sequence will become the operational heart of Metatropolis. We'll be deploying advanced androids, entirely unaffected by minor dimensional drift, to continuously manage the stabilized dimensional core. The pristine, highly controlled environment you're seeing is the direct result of all the meticulous planning, risk mitigation, and structural stabilization we've been discussing today. The technology is proven, the systemic risks are mitigated, the multiversal map is charted, and our 3-year roadmap is crystal clear. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The future is anchored and waiting for us. Are we prepared to initiate the next phase of Metatropolis?